Good morning, YouTube, and welcome to What the Papers Say with Deek Jackson in my 100 gigabyte data challenge. It's August the 15th. I'm in Oban on the west coast of Scotland, and sharp-eyed viewers will notice that I am not in some hostelry or some scenic location. One of the reasons for that is because the Scottish government have made it a law that you must give your details to go into a cafe, a restaurant, or a bar. So of course I'm not going there anymore, which is why I had my breakfast chez nous or chez moi in my van. I'm in the back seat where my passengers. Good morning, sleepy shoegazer. And I'm in Tesco's car park where I've just purchased a range of prepare your own breakfast goods. And I, when I'm camping, Hobart of Haywood, good day to you. I have a gas stove and a kettle, and I carry a certain amount of victuals with me. But the fact is, it's just incredibly convenient to go into somewhere. First of all, I can charge my busking box on mains power. I've got an inverter in the van. I can charge it as I go along. It's just incredibly convenient. Helmet blister, gobsmacker, good morning, Heidi hi. And so that's why I go to these places, for the coffee, the Wi-Fi, until I got 100 gigabytes on my phone. Thomas J. Absolute fascism, ID to go to a pub, cafe or restaurant. It's totally nuts. It's beyond nuts. It's beyond necessary. It's simply not necessary. If you're worried about the virus, you stay home. Take your own ID, stay home, wear a mask. I feel for the publicans, the business owners and the people for whom this is no longer something they might like to do. This is now the law. And until today, I was quite happy, the end of normal 3-stig, I was quite happy to make a fuss, to try and game the system. I did a series of videos yesterday about pretending to be autistic. I had a lot of fun yesterday pretending to be autistic. I've got a whole thing going. I've downloaded an image onto my phone that says, I am autistic, and I developed a way of speaking and behaving that appeared to feign autism, but I'm not doing that anymore. It's just not fair on the business owners who are now compelled by law to go through this charade to try and game them or put their poorly paid and put upon staff through these shenanigans. So I'm not going. I'm preparing my own breakfast food, and I'm trying, if you can hear in the background, my inverter's on to charge my box. I'm just not doing it. Although this morning, when I went to Tesco's to buy my victuals, I went for a cup of coffee in their cafe because I didn't see anybody standing at the entrance to the cafe taking details, and I thought, maybe because this is a supermarket and I'm already in, I've already breached the outer defences. Jason Honeyman, hello, how's it going? Good morning. I thought maybe they're not going to do it. So I went and I queued, and I got to the point where you get a coffee, and I said, just a black coffee, please. And she said, has anybody taken your details? No, they haven't. Oh, I'll just get a note of them. And I was somewhat prepared for this because obviously there will be times when, perhaps to use a toilet, something like that. Or out of desperation for a hot cup of coffee in the middle of nowhere, when the van is parked miles away and I'm in the centre of town. I am prepared, I guess, under certain circumstances to go into somewhere that's doing track and trace. So I was ready for her. And I urge anybody who's listening to this who is in Scotland, to do the following. When somebody asks for your name and number, say the following: my name's Nick Sturgeon. And then give them the number of the Scottish government, which is 0131 something something 4000. You can look it up. I've got a screenshot of it. So I told the people of Tesco's I was Nick Sturgeon, and I gave them the telephone number of the Scottish government. And that's my plan. should I ever have to go there. Anyway, let's do what the papers say. Yeah, petrol station Costa. It's true, you know, coffee on the go. I just think at some point I'm going to be in the middle of Inverness with my van parked a couple of miles away, and I'm going to want a coffee and a seat. So it's going to happen. So, okay, British tourists flee France. Oh, it's awful. It's terrible. I had to cut my holiday short to go back to Britain to avoid quarantine, because of course I would quarantine. I mean, the story here is really compliant sheep-like masses fear draconian fascist government rules. That's what the story should be. They're fleeing France to return home before quarantine. Before what? Before quarantine? Yeah, before an unnecessary and fascist law requiring you to stay home for 14 days if you've been somewhere in the world the government deems to be overly infected with a pathogen which would struggle to kill my ailing grandmother, who's dead, by the way, but that's another story. So British tourists comply, British tourists obey, British tourists fear for their, I don't know what they fear for. What do they fear? The government. I expect that's the case. I expect they fear having to actually do the thing the government wants them to do. It's not that I'm afraid of walking to a bar, a YouTube user. I'm actually quite a nice person. And, you know, unless somebody really fucks with me, I am courteous and pleasant. Now, until they made it the law, I considered gaming entry to bars and restaurants and cafes a fun thing to do. You know, to tell them I'm Willie Nelson and I'm on the road again, to give them my telephone number of 012345 12345 and see how they react. But now it's the law. These lowly paid teenage door guards, they really don't need a cunt like me making their day any harder. And I also, I understand that the final result of failing or denying or refusing to give details is simply they will bar you from entry. So it seems like a zero-sum game. Yeah. So why bother making all those poor people's lives harder and eventually not getting a seat and a coffee anyway? Yeah, don't wear a mask. Economic collapse, absolutely on its way. My vision for your future: unemployment, poverty, queuing for food, and increasing government fascism. Yeah, and that's before we even get to, you know, the real effects of climate change. Okay, moving on from the fearful British tourists fleeing back to their draconian fascist state. Honestly, this story: singer enraged by racism towards son, says the headline. Ostensibly a headline about racism, you would think. A terrible, terrible plague on society, racism. Aston Marigold said he was overcome with rage. He's a singer with JLS. I don't know, Your Honour. I believe they're some kind of musical band. So, Aston Marigold, who sings with the band JLS, was overcome with rage after, are you ready for this, his 2-year-old son was the subject of racist abuse on his Instagram account. He said to ITV's Loose Women, "I went to my son's account that me and my missus monitor." Monitor? You monitor it? What, did he fucking set it up himself? Your 2-year-old son set up his Instagram account, did he? Yeah? Did he buy his mobile phone as well, yeah? Did he make himself an email so he could register? This man should be locked up for child abuse. Racism, this man is a fucking retarded moron, idiot, fuck, cunt, fuck. I can't begin to tell you how disgusted I am with this story. Racism, this man has given his son an account on Instagram at the age of 2. Now, I don't know, I haven't seen it, but see if it featured any pictures of his son. I'd be even more disgusted. I hope when his son grows up that he hates his parents for exploiting him as part of their media fucking media portfolio. Really, I hope when he grows up he disowns them, and when they die he spits on their grave for having put his 2-year-old self through this disgusting bollocks. Really. Yeah. Really. Strip club patrons exposed to COVID-19. Is that all? Is that all that was exposed in the strip club? Canadian public health officials said 550 people may have been exposed to titties and bums at a strip club, and urged them to self-isolate. Is that the same as compelled? I don't think so. Nightclubs and restaurants were allowed to reopen with social distancing in July. I think if you're going to a strip club, you'll be exposed, hopefully, to much more than COVID-19. All right. Sellafield, for those of you who don't know, Sellafield is Britain's biggest nuclear facility. It's a place which for decades has claimed to be reprocessing nuclear waste on behalf of the world. And it's got a Magnox reactor, it's got some decommissioned reactors. And here's a story that says, the headline is, Sellafield evacuated after dangerous chemicals found. They found a dangerous chemical. This is one of the world's most dangerous and polluted nuclear facilities. Possibly on a par with that place in America that's the most polluted and radioactive hellhole on Earth. Part of the Sellafield nuclear site in Cumbria has been evacuated, and an explosive disposal team called in after the discovery of organic peroxide. Potentially dangerous if not stored at the right temperature. It was found. What do they mean they found it? What? They just discovered. They didn't know they had organic peroxide? That's right. They didn't. The storage of dangerous stuff in Sellafield is beyond chaotic and inept. And if you think what happened in Beirut was, yeah, indeed. If you think what happened in Beirut was, shocking and alarming and bad for the people of Lebanon, you might like to know that Sellafield is the world's most dangerous ongoing nuclear accident. It's a slow motion disaster. And so I'll tell you a few things about Sellafield, because I wouldn't call it, inside information, but I don't want to give too much away because of the confidence of my source. But a person well known to me, who I have known for most of my life, actually works at Sellafield on a regular basis. And here's the backstory. There's a building in Sellafield, amongst many, including this one where they discovered some organic peroxide, and it's got the most dangerous nuclear waste you could possibly imagine stored in it. And they've never reprocessed anything, I swear. Sellafield did not reprocess anything. They took waste from around the world and big checks. They took large amounts of money and claimed they were going to reprocess waste. They did fuck all reprocessing. They stuck it all in buildings and sealed them up. And as a result, there are now a number of buildings and storage tanks on Sellafield with festering 30, 40, 50-year-old nuclear waste containers in. And if anything happened to them, it would make Chernobyl look like you burst a pimple. This, honestly, it's an ongoing slow-motion disaster. So, one of these buildings, I forget its number, might be Building 9. Let's just say it's Building 9. Building 9 is in such a perilous state that the nuclear waste in it is beginning to heat up, and they had to start pumping argon gas into it. in order to stop it reacting with oxygen in the atmosphere. Now, the day that argon gas trucks fail to turn up at Sellafield so they can pump more argon into this building will be the day Britain and the world witnesses an explosion, that is on a par with 100 nuclear weapons going off in terms of the waste and the fallout that is. I'm not sure what kind of blast we'll be talking. Anyway, the solution, I shit you not, are you ready? The engineering solution goes like this. They're going to core cut through the wall using a machine the size of a building, which is clamped and sealed to the wall. Once that hole is opened into the building, robot arms will go in and pull the waste out onto a conveyor belt, which brings the waste into another compartment of the building where it is automatically or robotically encased and vitrified in molten glass. And then this large Thunderbird-like construction shits out vitrified nuclear waste out of the bucket. Now, for years they attempted to do this with an American company, and this American company were given a blank check by the British taxpayer. Billions were spent. And they built their machine, building, their engineering solution. They attached it to the building. They core cut through the wall, and the radiation destroyed all their robots, and the machine completely failed. And all they've done is produce another 80 tons of dangerous radioactive waste, which is now clinging like a festering limpet to the side of Building 9. So now the British taxpayer has the contract. Yeah. Why don't they just stick it in the Irish Sea, along with all the other waste they pumped out from Sellafield into the Irish Sea? So, Sellafield evacuated after dangerous chemicals found. That's the least of their problems. Watch this space for Sellafield. More exam nonsense. Honestly. Oh, young people, 17-year-old people with their whole life in front of them, and young people with their whole lives in front of them, and youth and beauty and potential all, overflowing inside them, can't have their future ruined by failing to get exactly the grade they wanted. You just can't. Yeah, the prevailing wind from Sellafield, by the way, is towards me. So I wouldn't be keen on anything happening at Sellafield. We've got a southwesterly, and it is southwest of where I live. So let's hope that person who is working now on the taxpayer solution is doing a better job than the American company who had the contract before. Yeah, quarantine roulette chaos ensues as Britons rush back from France. I like the comparison with the migrants. While white middle class, predominantly white middle class people are fleeing France on the Channel Tunnel and those cheap EasyJet flights, in the Channel, Arabs and Africans from North Africa, the Middle East, are also fleeing France. Isn't it great? Everybody's fleeing France. Number of jobless expected to top 1 million by September. As I was saying about our future, unemployment, poverty, queuing for food stamps. Yes, experts call for more trace data. Data about the proportion of contacts reached by the track and trace system in Scotland should be published by authorities to show if it is working. Sorry, I missed your comment there, whoever that was, or question. Professor Linda Bald of Edinburgh University said the information was a missing piece in the jigsaw. In fact, yeah, how do we know it's working? How do we know it's worthwhile? I too want the data published. I want to pore over the data. I want to know what the outcome of there having been an outbreak and the government having access to this track and trace data is. The government has ordered 5 doses of vaccine for every person in the UK. Are you shitting me? The government has reached agreement that says it will give UK residents early access to 90 million doses of 2 more potential COVID vaccines. Britain now has access to 6 different candidates. The government has ordered 340 million doses in total. 340 million vaccine doses, almost enough for 5 for every person. Not everyone will immediately have access to a vaccine. No kidding, I won't. I won't be accessing a vaccine that they knocked up last weekend after a party in Sheffield. Priority groups such as frontline health workers, those with serious diseases, the elderly, ethnic minorities, stupid people, retards, sheep, bovine zombies, they will have the first access. Cover 4 different classes of virus. 340 million doses. Okay, worldview. How a global pandemic panned out. Here's a double-page spread on, stats about the virus and its spread. There's a nice graph there. Okay. I'll tell you one of the things about journalism. A bit like many other things, they put stuff in words that if you read the words carefully, you can discern a certain meaning or missing meaning from what they're talking about. So this is a good case in point. There's a graph here, right? I'll show you it. There it is. It's a graph of deaths per 100 million people, right? In various countries around the world. It says total deaths with COVID-19, not from, with. And that's an important distinction, literally, figuratively, and in reality. Because if you die with COVID-19, it's like dying with athlete's foot. Nobody dies from athlete's foot. Nobody. Nobody ever died from athlete's foot, but lots of people died with it. Let's see a fucking graph of, deaths with athlete's foot. See how worried we are about that. How long before I have to sanitize my feet before I'm allowed to walk on the pavement? Because, athlete's foot is spreading in the population. Deaths with COVID. Here's to a fairer world for everyone. I wouldn't hold your breath. My vision of the future does not envisage there being a fairer future, but a more unpleasant one. Really, today is as good as it gets. I extol you all to enjoy today. Revel in it. Get out there and have yourself a ball, because today is as good as it gets. You will never experience less tyranny, less fascism. You will never experience less chaos and less unwarranted and intrusive realities. Deaths with COVID. Deaths with COVID. Yeah, man, I had the flu. Am I going to die with the flu? You betcha. Prince Charles hails bravery of emergency workers as he visits site of fatal train crash. This is about the train derailment in Scotland. And, I am so sick of heroes. I really am. I'm totally sick of heroes and their bravery. Prince Charles hails bravery of emergency workers as they drive their vehicles to an incident, get out, look at it, and wander around doing stuff. I mean, how brave do you have to be for that? It's not like going over Niagara Falls in a barrel, is it? Going over Niagara Falls in a barrel, that requires a certain amount of bravery or stupidity, whatever you like to call it. Bravery and stupidity are, if you like, interchangeable in my view. But the bravery of emergency workers who went to the site of an incident and gazed at it before doing their job, questionable. It's VJ Day, so lots of more heroes. It's a train wreck. Very good. More VJ Day stuff. Oh, Sturgeon tribute to the war dead. Nicholas Sturgeon said, people should be inspired by the idealism of the people who, insert my own words, were conscripted and had no choice but to go and do what they were told. What kind of idealism does that take? What kind of idealism does it take to be told by your government you're going to join the army? That's not idealism. Sturgeon pays tribute to the war dead. Tribute to all those who died during the Second World War. With COVID, if you know. I mean, that's a bit like the with COVID thing. If you get old and die during the Second World War, Nicholas Sturgeon pays tribute to you. Right, okay. This is a weekend paper, so it's mostly full of shit and piss. The era of powerful oil-rich states is coming to an end, Patrick Coburn writes. This is about the United Arab Emirates normalizing relations with Israel. And he's written quite a long piece here about how because of the banning of internal combustion engine vehicles around the world and the emerging consensus amongst governments that climate change is caused by burning fossil fuels and therefore we're not going to burn fossil fuels anymore. I don't care if you believe the science that underpins that, that is now a fact on the ground. Your government, wherever you live, is probably planning to ban the burning of fossil fuels in the next decade or so. And therefore, Arab countries that sell fossil fuels, fuck you. It's all over. You know, it's like, I guess it's like the Opium Wars. It's like when the East India Trading Company had China by the bollocks and they were selling opium into China. And then the Chinese took control of their own country, threw the British out, no more opium sales. End of the East India Trading Company. And so it's we are looking at the end of wealthy Arab nations. So before that happens, they are currently scrabbling around in a form of sort of desperation to find alternative ways to be relevant or to maintain power over their own people and influence in their own region. And so we can look forward, no doubt, to a rush of Arab countries trying to normalize relations with somebody with money. Trump fuels conspiracy, Harris not eligible to run for vice president. Those of you in America, Saudi Arabia can export burqa fashion LSD locks. Yes, they can, but they could also set up vast solar powered. They kind of lucked out, Saudi Arabia, didn't they? They've not only got oodles of oil, but they're also very sunny. So they could become a vast exporter of electricity via subsea cables and so on, due to their enormous sunshine reserves. Anyway, Trump fuels conspiracy, Harris not eligible to run for vice president. Now, Kamala Harris, her parents were not born in America. One was Indian, one was Jamaican, and I believe they were met as students in America. They themselves were not at that time American citizens, but legally in America because of student visas. She was born in America to them while they were there on those visas. And so the fact that she was born in America, according to the Constitution, makes her a naturalized American citizen and eligible to be the president, the vice president, a parking warden, a policeman, the mayor, whatever. So one of the things I think about that is a kind of parody of Bill Hicks' Anyone Stupid Enough to Join the Military, when they said they're going to let gays join the military. And Bill Hicks says, wow, really? You know what? For me, anyone stupid enough to join the military should be allowed. So, in my view, whatever you might think of Kamala Harris, I don't know her personally, but it's my general view of anyone in politics that anyone nasty, evil, dishonest, and fucked up enough to want to be president or vice president of America should be allowed, or not, depending on your point of view. I've no doubt she's a lying, murdering scumbag. Really. You know, do you think she will balk at the idea of signing hellfire assassination orders for Mohammed, you know, killing some, you know, wedding party in Afghanistan? She'll be scribbling those. Yeah, sure. What's this? Here's another one. We got to kill some people in Nigeria. Sure, whatever. This is a death order to hellfire someone in Iran. Yeah, sure. This is one for Libya. Sure, no problem. Kamala Harris will be a lying, murdering scumbag. People in the Netherlands have rioted after a ban on using fire hydrants to cool off during the heat wave. Authorities stopped people from opening fire hydrants to cool off during a week-long heat wave. I wonder if they hosed them down. If there was a riot to stop people opening the fire hydrants to get water and the police turned up with, you know, a hose pipe, wouldn't that be funny? Okay, and that would appear to be it for today. That's what the papers say. A load of pish, as normal. We're coming out of a primitive dark age. Yeah, into a dim age. We're in the dim ages. There may have been a dark age where we were totally ignorant of many things, including, you know, advanced astronomy and nuclear physics, but we're now in the dim ages, an unfortunate place where we think we know things. Helmet blister, that was The Independent. It was the Weekend Eye, which is owned by a Russian billionaire, so you can judge for yourself just exactly how independent that is. Funnily, they don't run too many stories saying criminals who milk the people of Russia for their wealth should go to jail. There's not many stories like that in The Independent. Okay, thanks Rob de Goyem. I'm off now, I'm going to go busking, and as I've said recently, the appearance of cameras tends to put people off giving me money, I've noticed. So I won't be streaming any more busking unless I can find a way of doing it that doesn't put people off. So I will probably do another late night talk show. So if you're still there or you come back for more, I'll see you then. Have a great day.